Tonight on ABC, a special 2020 takes you inside the inaugural balls, right as they happen, for the Trumps' first night out as first family. Don't miss this uniquely American event. Tonight on a special 2020 at 10/9 Central on ABC.
And welcome back, everybody. We are looking now at some live pictures. These are protests that continue in the area of 13th and K. This is the same area where we've seen these protests pop up. They intensify, they calm down, they intensify again. And that's the same area where they are protesting just again. So we'll be watching that to let you know exactly what's happening.
Yeah, on that area, that's where they broke a bunch of windows for businesses, at least 2. They also damaged a bunch of cars, including a limousine where they broke out pretty much all the windows and then set that car on fire. Now, we have seen hundreds of thousands of people converging here on the National Mall today, and our Mike Carter-Kanine was right in the middle of all of it.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
After traveling from across the country and navigating through very long security lines, many inauguration attendees barely arrived to the National Mall in time for the moment Donald Trump took the oath of office.
We just made it, leaving at 6 a.m. from Herndon.
No matter what, 77-year-old Martha Ferreira would not miss this.
That was the dream of my life.
She traveled with her daughter from Florida for her first inauguration.
She said she was coming, with or without us, and I'm like, I have to go with her.
Most of the crowd listened quietly to Trump's inaugural address, but some protesters repeatedly booed and chanted.
To me, I think we're about to enter a very scary 4 years.
I think it needs to be pretty clear that there's not consensus.
Can't say I was surprised. It's disappointing, but it's our country and it's a freedom to protest.
Of course, the protesters in the crowd were greatly outnumbered by those who voted for Trump in the election. But also here today, there were a lot of observers who voted for Hillary Clinton or didn't vote at all. They say they wanted to be here to witness history and hear what President Trump had to say.
I think that I'll just give him a shot and see what he does.
The speech echoed President Trump's campaign.
We will make America great again.
And his supporters loved it.
I just thought it was very inspirational, very well said.
He spoke from his heart. He didn't change his message.
That's why I love him. He's not hiding anything. He's telling what he thinks.
They also welcomed his inclusive message about race.
We all bleed the same red blood of patriots.
But even on Inauguration Day, amid calls for unity, skeptics say there's nothing he could say now to sway them. On the National Mall, Mike Carter-Kanine, ABC 7 News.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I'm so filled with faith.
I'm hopeful.
We are transferring power and giving it back to you, the people.
I just knew I had to be here. We're going to do so much better than we've been doing.
We will make America great again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
Right now at 6 o'clock, a tale of 2 Washingtons. On one side, President Donald Trump shaking hands with his campaign rival Hillary Clinton. On the other, protests throughout the city, some turning violent. Jonathan Elias and Allison Starling lead our coverage tonight overlooking the Capitol building. Jonathan, Allison?
Hi, Maureen, and good evening to you. We want to begin now with the breaking news that's happening. Yet another round of protests are currently underway.
We have seen a number of protests throughout the day. They started small, then these groups converged and got a lot bigger. The epicenter for probably most of the most violent protests is 13 and K, and that's where we join Annalisa Gale live. Annalisa?
Right now, things are relatively calm, but look right behind me. You're going to see protesters sitting in the middle of the street. We moved actually to 14th and K streets. There are officers surrounding 13 and K streets, just making sure that the crowd does not get too riled up. Earlier we did see a limo that was set on fire. The fire is now out. Thankfully, there was a fire station near that area where the limo was set on fire. But again, protesters are sitting in the middle of the street, blocking the street, and officers on the other side are making sure that things don't get out of hand here. We'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Annalisa, thanks.
And earlier Earlier today, you can see here, police were using smoke grenades and some pretty aggressive tactics to quell the protest that got out of hand.
Now, what we know right now is that 3 officers were hurt, and a civilian was also hurt. We're being told that none of those injuries are considered life-threatening, some bumps and bruises, because at certain points there were rocks and bricks that were being thrown at the officers. 95 arrests have been made since all of this started taking place, and D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is going to address those incidents in a news conference, and she'll do that shortly.
For now, though, we want to check back in with our Horace Holmes, who has been really in the thick of things for many hours now. Hi, Horace.
Hi, we just saw the live shot from a couple of blocks from where I am right now. Everything finally quiet here in the K Street area. Now the cleanup is underway, and you can see these gentlemen boarding up windows that were smashed during the protest. The end of a very tense and sometimes violent day. It was a confrontation no one seemed to want.
Not my president! Not my president!
But a confrontation protesters
Men grabbing women by their faces
and police were ready for.
One side or the other.
This a tense and violent standoff that erupted in the heart of downtown, just blocks from the inaugural parade route. It started when police countered and then arrested protesters that police say were smashing windows.
I honestly don't think anybody was doing anything violent.
As police took those arrested off to jail, other large groups of protesters gathered at the scene, 12th and L Streets Northwest. Eventually, a tense standoff erupted and a violent confrontation that spilled on to K Street. Back here live, these are 2 of the pieces of concrete that were thrown during the protest that clashes with police. As you can see, this was no joke. It's unbelievable that only 3 people were hurt in these confrontations, 3 hurt, and as you said, 95 in jail tonight. Reporting live in Northwest, Horace Holmes, ABC 7 News.
All right, Horace, thank you so much. There were also protests of the Trump inauguration around the country as well as overseas. Right now, you're looking at protests taking place in San Francisco, Denver, Colorado, even London and Tokyo. We have heard about a dozen arrests in San Francisco, although there are no reports of any widespread violence.
You know, even without all the protests, it has been an extraordinarily busy day here in Washington, D.C. with the inauguration and the swearing in of President Donald Trump.
And it all began, of course, with that swearing in of the 45th President of the United States, and Brad Bell was there with a first-hand view.
This was Donald Trump's moment. As he emerged on the inaugural stage, he seemed to pause and take a breath, and then he raised his fist, and the crowd spread blocks down the mall cheered. Once officially sworn in, Trump struck a familiar